The upcoming live-action remake of How to Train Your Dragon is dodging a common pitfall seen in many movie adaptations, which is making non-human characters look too realistic. This issue has cropped up in many live-action films where beloved animated animals are reimagined with photorealistic designs. This has plagued quite a few shows. They don't really know how to do it. However, the Dragons of Berk, and especially Toothless, is kind of immune to this. He doesn't face this problem because he isn't based on a real-world animal or a creature. So instead of going for a more jagged, reptilian, dinosaur-like take on the dragons like the Westerosi ones, which I would admit is an exception to the rule, the remake of How to Train Your Dragon sticks closely to the original animated designs, and it is almost perfect. This faithful approach ensures that the emotional core of the story remains intact, which is exactly what makes the How to Train Your Dragon series so beloved. Toothless's design is critical to the heart of the series. At first, he is presented as an unseen deadly predator, a mysterious and fearsome creature wrapped in myth. But when Hiccup finally encounters him face to face, that perception flips. Toothless isn't a monstrous villain at all. He is intelligent, gentle, and emotionally expressive, showing as much depth as a human character. Unlike the sharp-edged, intimidating looks of the dragons like the monstrous nightmare, for example, Toothless is different. He is sleek and approachable. His big green eyes radiate intelligence and emotion, and his smooth, almost cuddly design makes him incredibly endearing. Pair that with his playfulness and goofy personality and you've got a dragon who is impossible not to love. The design of Toothless hasn't changed much. His live-action adaptation does the job of preserving the charm and emotional depth that made him such an iconic character, but there are a few minor differences that we have noticed, and it is our job to point them out. This isn't to say that they are bad at all, we're just showing it to you guys. The first difference is of course size. In the animated trilogy, Toothless is widely acknowledged to be 26 or 28 feet long, or 7.92 to 8.5 meters long, and has a wingspan of between 45 and 50 feet, or 13.7 to 15 meters. His height is also around 5 feet 9 inches or 175 centimeters at the shoulder. He does walk around on all fours in a crouched position most of the time, but when his limbs are straight, he does have that height. In the live-action movie's poster, we get to see Toothless next to Hiccup on a cliff. Here we can correctly measure the size of the Night Fury dragon. See, Mason Thames, the actor portraying Hiccup, is 5 feet 7 inches or 170 centimeters tall. And so when we adjust a scale to his height and then with the same scale superimpose it on Toothless, we get a length of 10.5 meters or 34.5 feet. This makes the live-action Night Fury roughly 132% larger in size when just talking about length. We also see that Toothless is around 6 feet 2 to 6 feet 5 inches or 188 to 195 centimeters tall at the shoulder. As for estimating his wingspan in the live-action remake, we can just take a look at his animated version's body length ratio to wingspan and then do the same to the live-action remake. So with the animated version of 26 feet in body length, he has a 50 feet wingspan, and therefore using the same body length to wingspan ratio, the live-action one with a 34.5 feet body length would have no doubt a wingspan of around 66 feet wide. It is reasonable to have this size increase for the live-action dragon since Mason Thames is a bit taller than a Kid Hiccup from the animated series, and with this the size difference between the dragon and the Viking boy would stay the same, well, almost visually speaking. Then the next difference, the eyes of the Night Fury. So the Night Fury somewhat resembles an axolotl, a gecko and a black panther in general appearance and has one pair of wings with a shape similar to that of a bat. There are two pairs of tail fins, one at the base of the tail and the other at the tip, used for control in flight. There are 4 ear-like appendages on the back of its head that show its mood and help it hear, as well as other small tendril-like appendages around the jaw, depending on their age. Night Furies have sharp retractable teeth and the most noticeable trait, which are a pair of large, yellowish-green, cat-like eyes with pupils that are somewhat rectangular in shape with soft edges. The live-action Night Fury has the same design basically, with the only visible difference being the eyes and more specifically the shape of the pupils. This iteration has cat-like eyes, with vertical slit pupils that when dilated appears to be oval in shape rather than rectangular with soft edges. And finally, we have the scales on his face. So the Night Fury's jet black and dark colored scales make it nearly impossible to spot at night. The only warnings that it gives is the sound of the dive bombing with a loaded blast right before it attacks with a powerful plasma blast, as well as the stars disappearing behind it when it flies. When Hiccup meets Toothless in the forest off of Raven Point, we can see the dragon is completely covered in black scales that are matte as well as glossy in texture. While the live action also portrays this, there is one stark difference though. I know it is impossible to discern all the scales of each iteration side by side, and we aren't really pointing this out either. What we are focusing on are a patch of larger glossy black scales that are present in the animated Toothless. These are present right between the eyes and above his mouth. These scales are iconic in my opinion to Toothless, and they are lacking in the live action version, which seems to show Toothless having a uniform scale type all around his face. This isn't really a deal breaker by any means, but I just wish that they would maybe add them before the movie is released, like a minor adjustment to the design to keep it real. Anyway, with that we end the video on the differences of Toothless, the animated version versus the live action. So support us by liking and subscribing, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, fam.